while you were back in WCW, probably one of the most horrifying injuries took place. And I'm sure that you know, and everybody knows exactly what we're talking about, the broken leg.
Right.
Exactly how did that occur, and that must have been just, totally devastating for you.
Yeah, it was. And just until the last couple of years, it was still devastating. I've recovered 100% from it now. But it's just, what it was, Michael, I still wasn't released. I had a really severe shoulder surgery that turned to be a little more complicated than I thought it was going to be. I wasn't released. I still, at that point, couldn't put a belt on or put my wallet in my pants. Johnny Ace, nothing against him. He's a fucking idiot. You don't, and I say it like this, he's not an idiot in total, but he came in and he was trying really hard to make things, a lot better than they were. And coming from Japan, we're looking at Johnny's history in the business. He never was anything. He never drew money. He didn't have any psychology. He only worked Japan, and the only reason he worked Japan because he was up Miss Baba's ass. He didn't draw money and stuff like that. But he had an idea to try to make this spot where he wanted me to come off the second rope and give Scott a high knee coming off the second rope, which that's just not my forte. And especially, I'd ask him a couple times, well, let me try a few house shows to get my timing down. Well, he wrote it into a script to where that was part of the deal where I was to jump off, give the high knee to Scott, then they would pan to the back, which the mystery partner was Animal, who we all already know the Animal was going to come down and also join Scott and Jeff to beat me up as well.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a mystery partner. That was the deal. But as I'm not really sure of myself up there, and I asked Scott, are you sure about coming across here and taking a knee to the face? And I'm not sure how it's going to, how hard it's going to touch you or whatever. You're only talking, micro fragments of seconds that you got to, make that thing happen. I jumped off. Scott wasn't, close enough to me to take the flying knee. I had to, within a microsecond, make up my mind what to do. And what I changed my mind to do then at that point was try to land on my left leg and give him a standing high knee. And as I remember coming to the landing point, my body was tilted a little bit more to the left. I wasn't vertical, and I think that's what really snapped. That all that pressure being at that angle did that is what caused the injury. Caused the break. I don't think it would have happened if I would have landed vertical. And if I had my footing better and was able to hold the ropes better behind with my arms behind me, I wasn't able to do that. I was just asked to do something that I wasn't really physically able to do at that point.
Yeah.
And I don't have any hard feelings towards Johnny, other than I'm taking, I'm taking advice, or someone's giving me spots that really doesn't have the qualifications to give me spots, And you can, and if anybody's listening to this, you got to tell me what the fuck was so important about a high knee off a second rope. I mean, Scott Steiner, we know, came into the corners like a bull and was known for taking the best bump off a boot out of the corner. Why would you change something up that Scott does really well to something that neither one of us do well? It just never has made any sense to me, and that's still, I just don't think about it.
Yeah, it's. Well, I'm sorry if I brought up a sore spot, but I know a lot of people in the chat room and people who've asked me to be sure to ask you about that injury, because I've seen.
I've never seen it.
Well, you probably don't want to see it.
No, I don't want to see it because I don't want to be reminded of my stupidity. I should have told Johnny, this is too stupid. It's not too stupid. It's just out of my league right now, and I'm not comfortable with doing it. And then I blame myself. I don't blame anyone else. I can't blame myself if some retard asked me to jump off the Mississippi Bridge and I did it. I can't I can't blame the retard that told me to do it. I can only blame myself. At that point. So that's that's no one's fault but my own, and I'm gonna have to live with it like that.
It's kind of hard to imagine exactly where your career might have gone, during that time if you hadn't suffered that injury. And
well, there's a lot of things could have happened, but that's water under the bridge. That's the corniest saying that we can come up with. And it's forgotten. I've forgotten it. I forgot it the day after it happened. It's just, and again, it's my fault. I consider myself usually smarter than that. Again, another reason I did that is Johnny was coming in. He was new. When new bookers come in or people are trying to, help the territory, and I've always been known to do this. I don't care what anyone says. I try to do what everybody else is wanting to do, just to, give Johnny a chance to succeed or fail at what he's trying to do. I don't want him to come, or anyone to come to me 3 weeks or 3 months down the road and say, well, I could never get this thing going because Sid or Perry Saturn or this guy or that guy didn't do the very first things I needed to get done to get this stuff going.
Yeah.
Now, would have made a big difference? No. But I didn't give him a chance to say that I didn't try that.
Yeah.
So I feel better about trying it, even though it set me back a little bit.
Well, Sid, I know I want to tell you how much I appreciate your honest answer and going into detail with it.
And what's so ironic about it is this, Johnny is the head talent relations for that company. I've called him several times, and he never can fucking return my goddamn phone call.
Well, that says a lot about him. Cause,
exactly.
He's out for me and the moment, not for the long term or for the company, no matter what, he might try to say.
And really, it's no secret what I'm trying to work myself forward. I'm trying to work myself for one more shot with the WWE. And if I could get people like Johnny to answer the goddamn phone and to just say yes or no, or, it's not rocket science, and anybody in this business knows that just me walking back into the front door is going to be a bigger impact than 99% of the players they have on the fucking roster.
Yeah.
So it's getting a little frustrating, which I would have called Johnny back by now, but I had a little problem with some ulcers where I'd lost an enormous amount of blood.
Oh my goodness.
I lost down to 15% of my blood capacity, and now it's just back up to 100%.
Wow.
Where I can call back, and that way I will be able to complete to pass a complete physical. But it's just the business has gotten to the point where I used to be able to call that office and Vince would pick up right away, or Johnny would pick up right away, or somebody in that position. Now nobody wants to answer the phone, and call this number and you'll get right through to them. I call that number and I'll leave a message and never get a voicemail, not a message back, and then I'll get somebody in the company who said, well, Johnny was busy that week. She said to call him back this week. Well, if he was busy that week, just pick up the goddamn phone and call me the next week. I'm not going anywhere, and if they think that they're doing so fucking good and they don't need talent like myself, then they don't need me. And that's all they need to do is tell me that, and I can move on.